My girlfriend got pregnant by my sports partner and had the audacity to live with me and spending my money on her and his whims. Hey everyone! If you love wild real-life stories, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Let's get into it. Like the title says, my now ex-girlfriend, let's call her Amber, cheated on me with someone I thought was a friend. We'll call him David. She's 22, I'm 23, and David's also 22. We were together for 4 years, and I knew this guy for about 2. David and I met through a sport we both played. It started as a casual connection but grew into a solid friendship because of our shared passion. Around that time, I had been dating Amber for a little over a year, and she naturally got to know him too. Now, Amber had this habit of tagging along to my training sessions, not because she was particularly interested, but because she insisted on being there. At first, I didn't think much of it, but after about a year of her showing up, things started to shift. She looked at David differently, acted differently when he was around. The whole vibe was off. Here's the thing, David isn't exactly what you'd call a prize. The guy has the IQ of a brick and the ambition of a rock. Meanwhile, I was the one providing stability, loyalty, and actual opportunities in our relationship. But, of course, none of that mattered in the end. Then life threw me a curveball. I had to leave my job because of some really toxic work conditions, and I ended up unemployed for about 3 months. It was a rough patch, but nothing permanent. During that time, I noticed Amber acting more distant, but I chalked it up to stress. What I didn't realize was that she was already sneaking around with David behind my back. She was messaging him constantly, meeting up with him in secret. The part that really stung? He would literally pick her up from our house, drive her around, take her to places I had no clue about. Suddenly, they were gym buddies, having lunch together, paddleboarding, watching sunsets, romantic nonsense. Oh, and to top it all off, she was secretly sending him personal photos of herself. I only found out about that last part because she told me. Yeah, you read that right. She actually sent me the same pictures and then casually mentioned, oh yeah, I sent these to David too. That was my breaking point. I made my stance crystal clear. Either you cut him off completely or we're done. Her response? Turning off her location, ignoring me more and more, suddenly too busy to do anything together. She refused to go out with me, avoided all physical contact. No hand-holding, no hugs, no kisses, no sex. She was practically waving a giant red flag in my face at that point. I knew it was over. I just didn't know when she'd finally pull the trigger. Then, one night, I was helping train some kids when she sent me a text. I'm going out with David. I'll be home before you finish. I got home at 7 p.m. Her car was still in the driveway. She was nowhere to be found. That's when it hit me. David had picked her up, and she wasn't coming back that night. It wasn't even the first time. She had done this the night before too. I just hadn't put the pieces together yet. I stayed up, waiting, fully prepared to end things the second she walked through that door. But, of course, she never did. At 11:30 p.m., she finally texted me. We need to talk. Oh, I knew what was coming. I told her if she had any respect left, she wouldn't break up with me over text. I left the house that night. What I didn't know at the time was that within 30 minutes of me leaving, Amber and David were back at my place together. And guess what? She stayed the night. Now, David, being the spineless clown he is, later claimed he was just protecting her from me. Let me clarify something real quick. I'm a police officer. I have never laid a hand on anyone in my life. I don't do drugs, I rarely drink, and I have zero history of aggression. But suddenly, David wants to play the hero? Give me a break. Oh, and he swore up and down that he just slept on the couch. Right, because that's totally believable. For over 6 months, they had been sneaking around behind my back, doing who knows what. And within 3 weeks of the breakup, they weren't even hiding it anymore. They were together every day, posting about each other on social media, parading their relationship like they hadn't just spent months lying and sneaking around. I had blocked both of them before any of this even came out, but word got back to me through mutual friends. Eventually, I told everyone to stop updating me. I didn't want to hear another thing about those two. But David, oh boy, he still tried to get to me. He started going through our mutual friends, asking them to tell me to unblock him. I made it very clear. Tell him to leave me alone. Apparently, he wanted to clear the air and make things right. Yet every time we were at training together, the guy couldn't even look me in the eye. Didn't speak. Kept his distance like I was some kind of threat. The truth is, Amber had checked out long before she finally left. But what pisses me off is that she kept up the charade. Almost every day, she told me she wanted to make things work, that she was willing to put in the effort. Meanwhile, she was already setting up her new relationship with David. Whenever I confronted her about how weirdly close they were, she flipped the script, called me insecure, petty, said I never let her have friends. Classic cheater move. Looking back, I knew. I always knew. The way they interacted, I felt it in my gut. I just didn't want to admit it to myself. I asked to meet her one last time. After 4 years, the least we could do was say goodbye in person, right? She ignored me for 4 days. Claimed she was scared I'd yell at her or hurt her. Again, something I have never done. She was just looking for an excuse. When she kept dodging me, I finally had enough. I sent her one final message. Meet me at the park at exactly 8 p.m. If you don't show up, I'm blocking you on everything. No response. I got there at 7:30. Waited. The second the clock hit 7, I sent her another message. I waited for 30 minutes, and you didn't show up. I'm putting the spare keys in the mailbox. Goodbye. Suddenly, now she had something to say. My phone started blowing up with messages. You said around 8, not on 8. I told her to reread my message. Then I blocked her. I had known David for 2 years. Brought him into my home. Shared drinks. Hung out. Actually trusted him. And all that time, he was just waiting for his shot. I know Amber's a narcissist. I was just an idiot for not catching on sooner. But deep down, I think I always saw it coming. It's been a month, and yeah, it still sucks. I feel betrayed. But I know I'll be fine. One thing's for sure. I could never do something like that to anyone. Ever. So, on top of everything else, David is spreading false rumors about me. Meanwhile, when I'm standing right in front of him, the guy won't even look me in the eye, let alone say a word. Funny how that works. Obviously, Amber is the main problem here. She's responsible for about 90% of this mess. But that last 10%? That's all David. It still blows my mind that people can act like this, not just to a random stranger, but to someone they were supposed to love. Someone they called their best friend. At this point, I don't even care about them. What I do want to understand is why. Why not just break up with me earlier? Why keep stringing me along? Making me question everything. Making me feel like I was doing something wrong. Why couldn't she respect a simple boundary and just drop one guy to work on our relationship? Instead, she ignored me emotionally, pushed me away physically, made me feel like I was the problem when, in reality, it was her all along. Why stay in a relationship with someone just to make them feel like an absolute burden? I made my stance clear twice. Twice. I told her, either cut him off or I'm gone. And both times, she agreed for about a day, then ran right back to him. It wasn't until after the second time that everything spiraled out of control. Now, I appreciate the support from everyone. I'm not looking to hear from either of them ever again. I just wanted to understand the psychology behind it all. How people can lie so easily, manipulate without guilt, and flip a situation to make themselves look like the victim. And thanks to everyone pointing out the obvious, I get it now. The time to move on has arrived, and honestly, I've never been happier to do so. Update 1. Let the chaos begin. Not even a full month after our breakup, and David has moved in with Amber. Yeah, that's right. Dude wasted no time whatsoever. And the best part? He's next in line for the exact same treatment. She's going to cheat on him too, mark my words. But here's where it gets really good. She's pregnant, 12 weeks along, which means she either got knocked up before we broke up, or during the exact same week we did. Either way, I called it. I knew this was going to happen. And the best part? David has no clue what's about to hit him. The guy's already lost everything. He got shunned from the gym. His friends want nothing to do with him. He dropped out of the reserves. And now? He's stuck with a kid he probably didn't plan for. This might sound petty, but honestly, this is the best thing that could have happened to me. Watching karma work in real time is a beautiful thing. Update 2. The reality check. So, a few things to clear up. Amber and David are still playing house, acting like they're the happiest couple on earth. Within 3 months of our breakup, they were living together, flooding social media with their perfect little life, and getting ready for their baby. But let's be real. That relationship is built on nothing but delusion. The classic grass is greener mindset. And trust me, it's not going to last. I'd put money on it. Everything they're doing right now feels like a desperate attempt to convince people that they're in love. But I know better. This whole thing will crash and burn, and when it does, it's going to be spectacular. The big lesson. Some people have been saying Amber cheated because I was too easy, that I didn't give her enough of a thrill or whatever garbage excuse people use to justify cheating. Let me make something clear. I treated my partner like a partner, not like some random hookup. Am I not supposed to have a soft spot for the person I love? Am I not supposed to be open, to share my struggles, to build a relationship based on trust? If I had to pinpoint the real reason she did what she did, it's simple. It's her daddy issues, her complete lack of a stable male role model, the fact that she was never disciplined for anything, the way she twisted every situation to fit her narrative, even if she was dead wrong, her need to always be in control, the manipulation, the gaslighting. I could list 100 things. But what I know for certain, I wasn't the problem, not even close. I worked 10-hour days to support her. I cooked. I cleaned. I never yelled, never hit, never treated her poorly. And still, I was made to feel like I was the worst person in the world. It's disgusting, honestly, to know that I gave so much to someone who was never planning on staying. The final update, 7 months later. It's been about 7 months since this whole mess exploded. I've gone through every possible emotion, but looking back, I wouldn't change a thing. Because I needed this to happen. As messed up as it sounds, losing everything, my relationship, my routine, the people I thought were my friends, was exactly what I needed. This entire experience ripped away the illusion I was living in. I used to be so naive, thinking life was simple, that if I was a good person and treated people well, I'd be treated the same way in return. But reality doesn't work like that. Good things happen to bad people. Bad things happen to good people. And sometimes, life will gut punch you just to wake you up. The only difference between sinking and surviving is who you have in your corner. And thankfully, I had people who stood by me. The best part? I didn't even have to fight the rumors Amber spread. I didn't have to defend myself. Because people already knew the truth. They saw through her lies without me lifting a finger. That alone was proof that I never needed to change a thing. Losing my old life made me realize something. My life has only just begun. I'm still young, 23 years old, with my whole future ahead of me. Since all of this happened, I stayed committed to my training, and now I'm actually winning rounds in competitions. I've got a promising new job lined up, a list of goals I'm ready to tackle. This entire experience, it was the wake-up call I never knew I needed. So, to Amber and David, congratulations on your perfect little life. Enjoy it while it lasts. Because something tells me it won't. I won't lie. Maybe it's a little immature to think this way, but the truth is, they are losers. I still see David at training every now and then. And sure, there's a part of me that wants to call him out, scream in his face, or just let loose all the anger I bottled up. But when I really sit with it, I don't feel angry anymore. I just feel pity. At this point, they don't even exist in my world. I have my own life to live, my own goals to chase. They tried to break me, to destroy me completely, but all they managed to do was kill off the weakest parts of me. Instead of falling apart, I've become someone stronger, more focused, more dedicated, more determined to help the people around me and push myself to be better in every way. It's funny, really. The worst, most life-altering experience I've ever had ended up being the thing that completely reshaped my mindset, my purpose, and my entire future. Life's weird like that. I won't pretend everything's perfect now. I still struggle with sleep, and some nights the memories creep in. But even on those nights, I remind myself how lucky I am. The people who stood by my side, who reminded me of my worth, who showed up when I needed them the most. Those are the ones I thank every day. And for those wondering how things turned out for Amber and David, let's just say, karma remains undefeated. Word around town is that she's got him completely wrapped around her finger. His life? Pretty much over. His own family won't even let him come home anymore, last I heard. They threatened to call the cops if he tried. And Amber? The girl who was obsessed with her image, who cared more about Instagram validation than anything real. Well, let's just say she's let herself go a bit. The irony is almost poetic. I always believed the universe would have my back, and now I know it does. The people I never expected to rely on came through for me in ways I'll never forget. Every day, I'm grateful for that. Looking back at how I spoke about them in my earlier posts, I realize I was just angry, frustrated, hurt, confused. The way I ranted wasn't really me. It was just my attempt to make sense of it all. And while getting it off my chest helped, the anger itself didn't. That part? That was just noise. I still believe in love. I won't let this make me bitter. I know there's someone out there for me, but I also know that until I fully heal, I need to focus on me. There's no rush. When the time is right, I'll be ready. Thinking about how my first rant was posted 150 days ago feels insane. Almost half a year gone, and honestly, I don't have much to show for it. Just survival mode. Running on one meal a day, barely keeping it together. But you know what? That's okay. I'm finally eating more, taking care of myself again, and I have real goals to work toward. This was my outcome with a strong support system. I can only imagine how hard it must be for those who don't have that. If that's you, please, stay strong. I promise, better days are ahead. Thanks to everyone who supported me through this mess. If you've got any questions, just ask. I'll answer the best I can. Here's to moving forward. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more. See you next time.